One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips, betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Religious doctrines are all illusions, they do not admit of proof, and no one can be compelled to consider them as true or to believe in them. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement, that they seek power, success and wealth for themselves and admire them in others, and that they underestimate what is of true value in life. Everywhere I go I find a poet has been there before me. In so doing, the idea forces itself upon him that religion is comparable to a childhood neurosis, and he is optimistic enough to suppose that mankind will surmount this neurotic phase, just as so many children grow out of their similar neurosis. In the depths of my heart I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. Immorality, no less than morality, has at all times found support in religion. The madman is a dreamer awake. No, our science is no illusion. But an illusion it would be to suppose that what science cannot give us we can get elsewhere. Life, as we find it, is too hard for us, it brings us too many pains, disappointments and impossible tasks. In order to bear it we cannot dispense with palliative measures. There are perhaps three such measures: powerful deflections, which cause us to make light of our misery, substitutive satisfactions, which diminish it, and intoxicating substances, which make us insensible to it. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. They can transfer knowledge from teacher to student. Words enable the orator to sway his audience and dictate its decisions. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. Human beings are funny. They long to be with the person they love but refuse to admit openly. Some are afraid to show even the slightest sign of affection because of fear. Fear that their feelings may not be recognized, or even worse, returned. But one thing about human beings puzzles me the most is their conscious effort to be connected with the object of their affection even if it kills them slowly within. Religion is a system of wishful illusions together with a disavowal of reality, such as we find nowhere else but in a state of blissful hallucinatory confusion. Religion's 11th commandment is "Thou shalt not question." The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. Religion is an illusion and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. The behavior of a human being in sexual matters is often a prototype for the whole of his other modes of reaction in life. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. Where the questions of religion are concerned, people are guilty of every possible kind of insincerity and intellectual misdemeanor. America is a mistake, a giant mistake. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. In vital matters, however, such as the choice of a mate or a profession, the decision should come from the unconscious, from somewhere within ourselves. In the important decisions of personal life, we should be governed, I think, by the deep inner needs of our nature. My love is something valuable to me which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Men are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. The creative writer does the same as the child at play, he creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. Loneliness and darkness have just robbed me of my valuables. When a love relationship is at its height, there is no room left for any interest in the environment. A pair of lovers are sufficient to themselves. Poets are masters of us ordinary men, in knowledge of the mind, because they drink its streams which we have not yet made accessible to science. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. The ego is not master in its own house. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea, they become powerless when they oppose it. Smoking is indispensable if one has nothing to kiss. Where such men love they have no desire, and where they desire they cannot love. Time spent with cats is never wasted.